Episode 3 of the Getting Started Calisthenics series. So in this video, we're going to cover our third training session of the week on our 4-time-a-week push-pull split. And if you missed out on the first 2 episodes, I'll be sure to include the links below. So while this is a handstand push-up focused session, keep in mind the muscles we're working are the anterior delts, pecs, and even the triceps. Let's not waste any time and get right into it. The first exercise we're going to be doing is piked handstand push-ups at 3 sets by 3 to 5 reps. For beginners, I like to have them warm up with the anterior deltoid plate press. The hand placement is going to force the elbows in while maintaining a protracted scapula position, which is the main focus or the main points of performance we want to maintain in that handstand push-up. So it's a great way to rehearse the technique before we get into the actual movement and solidify that mind-muscle connection. Keep in mind the height of the feet in the piked handstand push-up is going to dictate how much actual load we're putting into the shoulders with the movement. So the lower the feet, the harder the movement becomes. Especially at first with these handstand push-ups, it's more about getting rehearsal of perfect technique in. So you want rep 1 to look exactly like rep 5. So your torso angle shouldn't be changing, and if it is, that's an indication that you're probably compensating. And if you can't complete all 5 reps with this perfect technique, you're probably going to want to consider adjusting your foot position for the next set. Up next, we're going to do 4 sets by 6 to 8 reps of the Barbell Z press. The reason why I've gone with a Z press as opposed to a traditional military press is because it's going to require a higher level of mobility and help prevent any sort of compensations that can occur. And if you end up going too close to failure on any standing press variation, you turn it into more of this inclined bench press because you're going to need to overextend your spine to compensate, which can also put unwanted shear stress on your spine. I first got this exercise from Stefan, I still can't pronounce his last name, over at Kilo Strength. And since most people's mobility sucks, they're gonna have difficulty performing this movement without feeling like they're gonna fall over. A workaround for this at first is to sit on a slightly elevated surface. This is gonna help you sit a little more upright and decrease the feeling like you're gonna fall over. We're gonna be supersetting these Barbell Z presses with 4 sets by 8 to 10 reps of the Bulgarian 3.0 split squat. And remember, our pushing day also includes squatting movements since we're pushing away from our center of mass. I've opted for a single leg variation so we can work each side individually, and it's going to require less weight to achieve the desired stimulus. And honestly, there's so many different single leg variations. Let's talk about why I opted for this one. For one, it's going to be great at preventing back leg compensations. Due to the nature of the setup, because that back leg is so close to the front leg, it decreases the amount of leverage we can produce or cheat with that back leg. Also, a lot of single leg squat variations are going to require that back leg to be much further behind us, which is going to result in needing a lot of hip extension, while that front leg generally is going to have much more hamstring to calf range of motion, which is going to require full knee flexion. While these range of motion requirements aren't necessarily a bad thing, everyone's going to come into training with their own specific areas of tightness, and I find this a good option to start with because it allows you, regardless of mobility restrictions, to start training hard right away. While we want to overcrowd that back leg so we can reduce the amount of compensation and work that front leg more, if you need to move that back leg a little further away from the front leg, by all means, this is totally fine. And like we already talked about, everyone's anatomy is going to be different. So some people are going to find a more vertical torso, more comfortable with this movement, while others are going to find a slight pitch forward as they lower down to be more accommodating to their body type. All right, up next, we're hitting 4 sets by 10 reps of ring push-ups. And while these don't need to be performed on rings, the main thing I want people focusing on is having the shoulder going slightly deeper than the elbow. So if you want, you can just as easily do these on parallel bars. But since I have access to rings, I feel they're optimal due to the instability factor, as well as the fact that I'm able to turn my hands out at the top of every rep. And if you're someone that finds 10 reps of push-ups not challenging, you can add weight to it to increase the difficulty. Just be sure not to compromise form if you're going to add weight. Lastly, we're going to superset these ring push-ups with 4 sets by 10 reps of plate raises. And since someone's gonna ask, yes, performing the movement with bumper plates as opposed to dumbbells is gonna make it different. Since it's a different object, the weight distribution is gonna be different, therefore the movement's gonna be different. But keep in mind, I said different, not better. I like to incorporate these as opposed to another variation, just because we're doing so much vertical and horizontal pressing. This is going to be a slightly different or unique movement pattern, and it's going to help decrease the chance of some sort of overuse injury occurring. And that's all I got for this workout. I really hope everyone's enjoying this series so far. We still have 2 more to go to complete the 5-part series, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and I'll see you guys next week.